Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show, where we help you make the wisest and most profitable decisions. My name is Dr. Gleb Tsipursky. I'm the CEO of Disaster Avoidance Experts, the future of work consultancy that sponsors the Wise Decision Maker Show. And today with me is Paddy Srinivasan, who is the CEO of GoTo. Paddy, would you introduce yourself and what GoTo does for the folks who don't know about it?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Gleb. I'm very excited to join you here in this podcast. I'm the CEO of GoTo. For those of you who are not familiar with GoTo, we are a software as a service provider, and we have a variety of different tools, predominantly in two different buckets. One is on communication and collaboration software. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard of products like GoTo Webinar, GoTo Meeting, GoTo Training. Excuse me. We also have a communications platform called GoTo Connect. So that's on one side. And on the other side, we have a suite of IT management and IT support products like GoTo Resolve, GoTo Assist, Rescue, Central, and so forth. So together, we are a provider of essential business communication software, both for connecting employees, but also for communicating and supporting companies and customers. So that's what we do.
Excellent. Thank you, Paddy. Now, you've been doing a lot of supporting of customers during the pandemic as this whole remote work transition has happened, and now with the return to the office, hybrid work. Where do you see remote work going as the economic situation is getting a little bit more disrupted, and as people are maybe returning to the office? Generally, what's your vision based on what you're seeing with customers of what's happening with remote work?
Right. That's a great question. So first of all, I think it's unbelievable that we are about 3 years into the pandemic and the great dispersion of the workforce. So I think it'll be safe to say that this remote-centric model is now a proven model where companies have started expecting employees to work from anywhere, using digital technologies to collaborate with each other, but also work with their customers and be in a position to support them and do whatever activity they're supposed to be doing, like selling things online and things like that. So I think it's a proven model. Number two is we're seeing across the globe that getting to work is expensive. It's expensive for the company because of real estate and things like that. It's expensive for employees. You're sitting in traffic in different parts of the world. You have to rearrange your personal life, and it's not as flexible. So I think that's another aspect. And the third thing I would say, which from a personal experience point of view, we are a company. We are a billion-dollar company with 3,500 employees worldwide. We operate in more than a dozen countries. And what we have found over the last 3 years is that, and we are a remote-centric workforce of 3,500 employees. And what we have found is we're now able to attract talent from different parts of the countries that we are operating in. So for example, we have a big R&D center in Hungary. And we were very Budapest-centric before the pandemic, but now our employees are all over Hungary, as an example. The same thing in Germany, same thing in Canada, and not to mention North America. We are a great example of dispersion of talent, and that has really helped us attract and retain and nurture talent wherever they are. So I think for all these reasons, I'm very optimistic that what started or what accelerated as part of the pandemic, because it was the essential need of that time, has now started morphing into a different type of model where companies like ours are using it as a competitive advantage.
Now, you're a remote-centric model and you have 3,500 employees. So you've learned some things about doing remote work effectively. And I find I've helped 21 companies, 22 by now, transition to hybrid work, remote work. And I find that what they need is both a combination of good technology, but also the skills of how to use this technology. So can you comment on both of those? What kind of technology do companies need to do effective remote work? And how can they best use this technology to do work effectively remotely, whether full-time remote work or hybrid model? What are your thoughts both about the technology and the skill sets?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first of all, I think let's talk about the usual framework, people, process, technology, right? Let's start with technology, the third one. I think there are a set of essential capabilities that any company that wants to be remote centric need. Number one is it absolutely needs to nail the internal collaboration and the internal IT systems that are required to support employees to be productive, to have all the way from effective onboarding to making the employees productive by themselves individually, but also in collaboration with other employees, whether it is a sales representative needing help from an onboarding rep or from a support person in their company so that they can make their customers successful. Technologies should enable them to be collaborative real time to make sure that they are addressing the needs of a customer they're supporting. So that's really important. Number two is when you look at the technologies that are required to communicate and collaborate with customers outside of their boundaries. So for example, we have a product called GoTo Connect, which is used by over 70,000 small and medium businesses across the world to connect with their customers. So predominantly it's used as a telephony system on the cloud, but it's a lot more in terms of being able to connect with them digitally, whether it is Facebook Messenger or text-based messaging to remind their customers that they have an appointment coming up and those kinds of things. So effectively using these technologies to connect with customers in a very distributed manner. So I think from a technology perspective, you need systems that will help your employees be productive and also help manage their digital assets, both in terms of software applications as well as their devices, laptops, mobile phones, and those kinds of things to make them productive and keep the company's data secure. So that's one aspect. And then technologies for companies to collaborate with their customers outside of their organization. So that's on the technology front. I think on the process front, I think it is really important for companies to make their employees feel like they are first-class citizens, whether or not they walk into an office or not. So I think it's really important that they level the playing field. And one of the things that we are seeing with our customers is that in a hybrid environment, often the employees that are remote are at a disadvantage because there are 3 people in a conference room, there's 1 person virtually. So introducing little things like it doesn't matter if 3 of us are in the conference room, we will open up the meeting solution, turn our camera on so that everyone has the same real estate in the meeting tool, and we can have a proportionate amount of talking time in the tool. So these are little things that companies can do to make sure that everyone feels participative and have a voice in the system, if you will. So I think there's a little bit of technology, but there's a lot of behavioral change that we take for granted at this time to make sure that employees feel welcome and employees feel heard as part of this hybrid environment.
Yeah, I've seen the behavioral change part be the most difficult one, especially for managers who are used to managing successfully for 30 years in the office. And now they feel disempowered because they don't know the techniques of managing well a remote workforce. And so many are asking people to come back to the office just because they don't know how to manage well a remote workforce. So and of course, employees are struggling. So you mentioned about hybrid meetings where some people are in the room and some people are virtual. So I have to teach my clients one is what you said, to have everyone sign on. But another thing is to have a virtual facilitator in the room, someone who looks at what the remote employees, the attendees of the meeting are doing, what they're saying in chat, how they're using emojis, how they're reacting to others, and verbalizes that for everyone else in the room and engages with them so that they can be engaged with too, so that what happens in the meeting where there are side conversations, where there are side glances, people interact with each other, that some of that can be replicated in virtual format and that can be verbalized and brought to the table, and where the people who are in the room the in-person attendees pay attention to these sorts of things. And that requires a lot of behavioral changes. So what have you found about the difficulty of making this mindset shift of how to change behavior to accommodate remote work among your clients?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. So we are a technology provider, right? Our technology facilitates, it's built from the ground up to solve challenges of a remote-centric world.
Yes.
So we have introduced these kinds of technologies that you're talking about, which is emojis or reactions inside of meetings or webinar, these kinds of things. But it is really important that it is augmented with the behavioral change that you just talked about. And some of the challenges we see, number one is using the best of breed solutions and it is really hard in times of a recessionary environment to make sure that you are picking the right product for the right job and not try to cut corners by having tools which are a mile broad but an inch deep versus using specialized tools to make sure that you are supporting your employees to the best of their abilities. So I think that's definitely a part of it. The second thing is, as you mentioned, having the ability to have employees who are taking on different type of coordination activities when there's a group of people together so that someone is watching out for, hey, is everyone's voice being heard? And nurture that participation and ensure that you're leveling the playing field. I think these are all really, really important things. And I think as a technology provider, we are also putting a massive emphasis on two things. One is in ensuring that the user experience of our products are easier and easier with every new version that we are shipping. Because as we settle into our virtual environments, everyone is multitasking. Versus in the office, you might be walking into someone's room and you're having a face-to-face conversation. Versus in a virtual environment, your desktop has so many icons, they're all lighting up at the same time. So you don't know whether you want to look at your Slack channel or you want to talk to someone in a meeting that you're on. So user experience becomes really important. And that's why GoTo has invested a significant amount. And that's one of the things that make our product stand out is the user experience, both during the onboarding, so that the IT person is fully in charge and they feel really good about the security posture and also turning on all these capabilities for their employees. But also on an ongoing basis, it is really important to have the user experience really stand out to push this behavioral change inside of this collaborative environment.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I'm thinking about what is going to be the future of user experience as technologies develop. So we're seeing more technologies like AI is making the news, but I think something that's maybe underlooked in terms of the future of meeting experience is virtual reality and augmented reality. What do you see as the future in 3 to 5 years coming up in terms of effective meeting experiences, collaboration experiences through technology that will help facilitate this behavioral shift, which is really necessary, mindset shift, behavioral shift for people to work remotely effectively?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So I certainly see AI taking a very central stage in how we collaborate and accomplish our tasks in the workplace. And it might not even take 5 years. I think it's going to happen much faster. So I mean, we have all seen tools using large language models like ChatGPT really capture the attention of the entire business world in just 3 or 4 months that it has been out. And we, in our part, we have started leveraging things like that. So for example, it could be, hey, do I really have to attend all the meetings that I have on my calendar, or can I have something like a ChatGPT summarize some of these things and just tell me if there were any action items assigned to my organization or my team. So can I leverage AI to be an effective assistant and do things on my behalf? Number two is, can I leverage AI to automate some of the tasks for my team? So for example, if I'm an IT administrator and I do certain things, every time someone has a problem with their machine and there is a lag between the audio feed and the video feed, maybe they have too many applications, I have to free up memory. Can I just auto detect that and do it as part of my tool rather than having to wait for someone to raise a IT ticket and get those things resolved? So I think there are, and these are some of the things that we have actually announced right now. So we announced a capability which takes a plain English prompt like monitor the memory usage of my computer, and if it goes above 80%, close half of my browser tabs. I can just say that and it'll create a script and I can execute that. So we just released that. And these are some examples of how the productivity and the collaboration between people are going to completely change over the next few years. And I think these are just some examples, but if you think about customer service as a function, it's going to be completely disrupted by natural language processing and the fact that most of the millennials don't even want to pick up the phone and call someone. They would rather chat with a bot, and these bots are getting much smarter. They can actually not only answer your questions, but also take action. Like, hey, I want to cancel my service, or I asked for a refund last month. What happened to it? So you can actually get very specific information pretty quickly using AI technology. So I'm very bullish about the potential of these kinds of advancements in technology over the next 3 to 5 years.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for all your expertise. Are there any last words you wish to share before we wrap up?
Oh, thank you. I think it is a very exciting time to be in the business world, especially in the technology world. I think the great dispersion that happened over the pandemic is here to stay. And what I would advise the audience to do is to take a critical view of the fact that let's use this to our advantage. As I said, not only can we save money by going into a virtual/hybrid environment, we can improve the way we connect with our colleagues and our customers using the right technology at the right time. And most importantly, we can actually use this as a competitive advantage to attract and retain world-class employees and meet them where they are, rather than having to constrain ourselves to geographical limitations. So it's a great, exciting time to be in. And if you think the last 3 years were crazy, the next 3 to 5 years is going to be completely disruptive. So thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to being back sometime.
Excellent, Paddy. And I definitely want to affirm the last point you made about finding employees around the world. That's been a crucial benefit for my clients, indeed, of remote work. Well, thank you very much for your expertise. And thank you to the audience for checking out another episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show. Please make sure to subscribe wherever you checked out our show and leave a review. It really helps others discover the show, and it helps us improve the show. All right, everyone. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show. In the meantime, the wisest and most profitable decisions to you, my friends.